Page 6, the First Nowell. 3/4 time. No sharps or flats. We're in the key of C major. If you can, please make sure you can do the C major scale at least 1 octave up and down. They give you a chart up above to kind of tell you where your hands are. I don't like those charts. You need to be able to figure it out where your hands go by looking at the music. You just look at like in the right hand. 3rd finger's on the E to start, so we're going to hear. We're not going to stay here, but that's where we are. Actually, you have to kind of look at the first few measures or first few notes or something to see what other notes are involved, because you might not be in a nice 5-finger position. You might be spread out a little bit. It could be anything. So you just have to look. But in this case, when I look at the notes, we're here until we have to move out of position. So we're here. And the left hand, you're starting here. And you have his thumb here, so you're kind of in this position. To start, you're going to move, but that's how you figure out where the hands go. It's just sort of here. It's whatever the music needs. Let's take it one hand at a time, make sure we have the rhythm and the fingering and the notes and all. We are moving around here. So we're coming in on beat 3. 3 and 1 and 2 and 3. I'm hoping you understand dotted rhythms. If you don't, please go back to the method book or wherever it is, like book 1, and go through that thing and very carefully concentrate on the rhythms. You must understand dotted rhythms if you're going to play music. So I'm pretending you already know that. Again, 3, 1 and 2, and now the thumb comes under. If you can play the C major scale, that's the fingering. You're going to do this anyway. It's just like a C major scale going up. If you look at the next few notes, it is the C major scale. From the C to a high C 2 measures later. The rhythm's different, but it's still a C major scale, and that's the fingering. Then the second line, your quarter notes. Then the 3rd measure over, they got stretch. Well, just move down a little bit. I don't care what you call it, just come down a little bit. And then during the rest, move down and put back into position to do it again. So forth. Let's go down to the bottom, the last 2 eighth notes on page 6. You're here. It starts out like it did at the beginning, but it's go to page 7. Rest. You have a 1-3 and then a 2-4. Change fingers. In case you wondered what changing fingers is all about. It simply means you're going to use different fingers on these notes. I'm going to use 2. That's all it means. 1, 2. That way I'm in position to go on. I want to connect this. I can't connect this because it's repeated notes. So I take advantage of that and change fingers here. So I can connect this to rest, and then up here, and then at the last 2 measures again, 3rd finger, rest, left hand, starting here. Now we're kind of covering 6 notes with 5 fingers. We have to do that sometimes. You got to cover more than that too sometimes. But right here, reach up with the thumb, and then the second, we're not really moving the hand position. We're just kind of moving the fingers around to accommodate all these other here, because I still want 3rd finger on the G. 1, then scrunch up a little bit, 2 fingers. They say squeeze together, I say scrunch up. You call it what you want. I like scrunch, so I use that. Rest, 2nd line, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, rest. And during that rest, come up. 3rd finger on the G sharp. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 3rd line down, 3rd measure. Again, scrunch up or squeeze, whatever you want. And reach out, 3rd finger, stretch. Crossover. Here, there's other fingerings we could use, but I like this. It's fun. Rest. Rest, rest. And then during the rest, you come up. 1. And then for the 2nd line on page 7, you bring the thumb up down here. So we're in position. Crossover here. Put the hands together. I'm going a little fast. You can go slow to work it out, but it's 1 and 2. And try and connect everything right now if you can. Don't worry about all these slurs and stuff. Again, 1 and 2. I don't want to play it all for you. You put the hands together. Then go back and take out the hesitations. The beat needs to be a steady beat. You don't have to play it fast, but the beat has to be a steady beat. So work on those spots where you're hesitating so you can get past the hesitation. Don't allow the hesitations to continue, because that becomes part of your playing. You'll hesitate every time you play it if you do. Get rid of them. Work them out. Then we can add the articulation, the slurs. The left hand, I'm suggesting connect at all except for when there's a rest. And to explain these curved lines, it's a little bit confusing. At the beginning, this is the upper staff. You have a curved line above it, which kind of shows you the phrase, the musical sentence. Lift up. Lift up. Lift up. You see, it's like taking a breath. You don't lift up for as long as I did, but the point is you do that. Well, in the pickup measure, you have a little slurred, a little curved line on the eighth notes. And you got curved line in the first measure here, and another curved line here. Huh? Well, it has to do with the singing and the words. At the pickup measure, both of those notes is one word, the. The. You're going to sing the for both. The. And that's what the curved line means. It's indicating, other publishers use different indications, but this is, you're singing the same word or syllable on those notes. That's why the curved line is there. And the next one, first, you're singing first on both of those notes. First, and then now. And that's why those little curved lines are there. They don't affect how you play it. They're not slurs, engine, lift up before and after the slur. You don't always lift up before and after a slur anyway. They're just there to help with the words. Now when you get to the other verses, you see the other verses on page 7 is over there. Sometimes the words are different and you might have different words on each note or different syllables on each note depending on the verse. May or may not. So just understand that it's the curved lines above the phrases we're after here. See, I'm lifting up in the right hand and not the left. Now here, I can lift both up because the left hand has a rest. Lift up. Lift up in the right hand. Lift up. Lift up. Lift up. And here, this is the page 7, going from the first line to the second line. The last measure here. You're lifting up in the right hand. Connect this left hand. Connect it all together. So. All that. Then you can add the dynamics. That goes to the melody. And just get into it. Whatever you think moderately loud is. Keep the left hand in the background. The point is, you're not going to stay at moderately loud all the way through. Get into the music and feel the music. You're in that moderately loud range, but you can get a little louder and softer. And when you get to the chorus, which is at the bottom of page 6, the last 2 eighth notes, that's chorus. Generally, you come up there, and it's marked loud. Keep the left hand in the background. Even with they're playing octaves like that, keep the left hand in the background still. It's harmony, it just happens to be playing an octave is all. Rest. So nice and loud in there in that area. And the speed, you'll find recorded, it's flowing, just. It kind of depends on how much eggnog or wine or whatever I've been having as to how fast I'm going to have this one. Tends to get louder and faster as the evening goes on. At the end of the second line on page 7, you see above the staff in parentheses the DC. DC means go back to the beginning. Usually it's a DC al fine or DC al coda or something. Doesn't have to be, it could just be DC. They could also have, instead of the DC, they could put in a repeat sign there. Since there's no reverse repeat sign, then that repeat sign would send you back to the beginning. The point is, there's multiple verses to this. There's like 5 verses total, and what you do is you just keep going through it, the whole piece, for each verse you want to sing. And the chorus, the words in the chorus are always the same. That's what a chorus does, you know. It's the verses that change, and you have to figure out which notes the words go to. That's fun, but it usually works out okay. The only problem I have with the way they've done it here is, again, they didn't give you an end of the piece symbol. The end of a piece, there is a thin and thick bar line. That's the musical symbol for it. If you look at on page 9, you see at the end of the second line there's a thin and thick bar line. Well, here where the DC was, that should be a thin and thick bar line. You can still have the DC there, but that eventually you're going to end it there. You're not going to DC forever. It's just DC for however many times, how many verses you're going to sing. And a lot of people, if they were really into it, what they'd do is they'd go through and sing all 5 verses, and then they'll go back and they'll sing the first verse again to end it. It just kind of brings it full circle. Don't have to do that. Some people do, some people don't. There's no rule says you got to do or don't do or whatever. To play this with you very slowly to double check the notes and the rhythms. So I'll give us 2 counts because we come in on beat 3. Not doing dynamics, we're not trying to perform it, we're just checking notes and rhythms. Ready and go and. 1 and 2 and. Rest. 1 and 2. And rest and.